Hello lovely crafty people, welcome or welcome back to my channel, The Creative Book Shack. It's Friday, that means it's Flip Through Friday, which is hosted by Gwen the Trash Witch. I'm also going to double it up because I'm going to show you what I've been doing this week. I'm going to double it up with Hearts All Year, which is hosted by Susan at Susan's Heartstrings and Terry at Tellen's Place, and also Junk Journal Madness, hashtag JJ Madness, which is hosted by Susan at I Totally Love It, and Stephanie is the guest collaborator this month, and she's at Steph's Design Space. So let's start with the hearts. I've only done one page in my heart journal, and that is this. And this is created by stamping tiny little hearts and sticking just the bottom of them to the page. And the reason you stick just the bottom of them to the page is because you can then use it as a tuck space. You see, you can tuck things in behind there if they're not stuck down. That one's not. There you go. Obviously, in a journal this size, you would want to use something smaller than that. But that is my Hearts All Year that I've done this week. Secondly, Junk Journal Madness is the theme is Easter. Now I have made myself I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and it occurred to me I've got 16 pages inside this cover. It occurred to me I ought to get a Gallopon if I was going to fill it up this month. So that is the page I've done this week. This is just a bit of watercolouring with a bit of stencil over the top. I found this lovely paper, cut out an Easter egg, and it opens. And it opens into an Easter bunny. I saw this on Facebook and I thought, you know what, that's really quite cool. So that's the only page I've done this week for Junk Journal Madness, but I really need to do some more. Then, because it was Mass Make March, years ago, I bought a box, a sort of, standard size box of offcuts from a paper mill. I've barely used any of them. It's on my floor. Well, it's tucked under in a shelf on my floor. I thought I would get out a load of bits and pieces and see what I could do with them. Now, with these, this was actually the width of the offcut. I've got a lot of strips in there. I've got bigger bits as well, but there are a load of strips. So I took out a load of strips and vaguely altered them to provide me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 matchbooks that I'm going to have to decorate this weekend. Hold those in place. I've got some writing cards, and I literally just picked out a handful of stuff and went with the colours that I had. I've got 4 plain ones. These 2 I've embossed. I don't know if you can see that. Then I made some tags. These are partially done. So I've got, what have I got there? I've got 8 of those. This is vellum. It's quite nice. So I've folded these into little booklets. And again, these need to be decorated and filled up this weekend. There's 4 of those. Then I thought little file folders. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 of those as well. Now, this is vellum, but this is thicker. This is card. And then here are the ones I've actually completed. So I've got this little booklet, which has got some animal stickers in there. They're quite cute. There's only one of those. I think that was a leftover. I die cut these with this die cut and created little specimen cards. So I've got a couple of mushroom ones. I've got a couple of flower ones. And I've got a couple with lovely, they're not Victorian ladies, they're modern ladies posing in Victorian dress, I feel. But, so I have 6 of those that are completed. I had some white tags, so these are actually doubled up. I just put a little bit of stamping on the back. And I just painted a pink background. All of the background layer is pink with black bits on it. Punch some heart holes in there. This would also count for hearts all year. And so we have 3 of those tags. Then we have some bigger tags. These ones I have sewn some material on, and again the material came in these strips. So the only cutting I did was lengthways, and I've added to them some of the clusters that I made recently. I've put some string in those ones. Goodness knows when I made this, but that was in my file folder. This is one of those things where you put sellotape over the top of a magazine, rip it off quickly, and then take the background paper off. And on the back, these are just journaling cards. Another couple of clusters I made recently on this one. So those ones all have eyelets in them and string. These ones have different sorts of tabs. So I've got another cluster there, and I've just stuck this from the material scrap box on there. This one, this was already made out of scraps of paper, and I've just glued it to the top, so you've got a tab on that one. This was already made from strips of scraps, and I've just stuck that one onto there. This one has a couple of little clusters, and this is a paper clip that just goes on there. In fact, these ones are all paper clips. So I've got this one. This has got quite a long paper clip on the back of it that's covered and then decorated. And this one has a transfer on it. I love this chicken. Has a transfer on it, and then has another paper clip that is just, it's just wrapped around the front of the paper clip and then decorated. And this one I've tied some ribbon to the bottom of the paper clip. So those are my tags. Finally, I have 4 tea bag journals. So I've got these tiny little pegs. There is actually an envelope on that has got things in it. On the front, I've covered up the stitching, because there's stitching in here, and just embossed a bit to go over the stitched part, because it's actually quite, well, it's the vellum again. So at the top here, I have a little pocket. I've decorated with stamps. I've put one of my writing cards in there. Then we have a book of this paper. All the signatures are of that paper. And then at the bottom, I've put a little envelope. I've done this on each of them. I've put the envelope on here so it is the right way up to hold things into it when it's shut. And then when you open it, the images are the right way up. But I've tied it so things don't fall out instantly. Actually, I'll leave that. So we've got that one. We have this one, which also has a clip on it. And all of them are pretty much the same inside. They've got a pocket with a journaling card, and they have an envelope, a coin envelope there to put things in. These two have got closures like that. This one's stamped with a few bits and pieces, some embossing on the bottom, the pocket there, the envelope there. This one is my favourite, I think. I love this. I picked up some transfers this week and I've never used them before, but I absolutely love the way they come out. They're matte, they're easy to put on. I just love them. And in this one we have a journaling card, and at the bottom we have another coin envelope, and this one's got a barn on it. So that is my little pile of things. These ones have all been completed. Quite a nice little stash there. And these ones I'm hoping to do over the weekend. So thank you to Gwen for hosting Flip Through Friday. Thank you to Terry and to Susan for hosting Hearts All Year. And thank you to Susan, a different Susan, and Stephanie for hosting JJ Madness. And thank you to you for stopping by and watching. Lovely to speak to you, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye for now.